On December 17, 2024, a devastating bomb blast in Moscow took the life of Lieutenant General Igor Kirillov, a prominent and controversial figure in Russia's military. Kirillov was the commander of the country's nuclear, biological, and chemical protection troops, a key unit responsible for managing Russia's hazardous materials defense operations. The explosion, meticulously planned and executed, occurred on Ryazansky Prospect, just 7 kilometers southeast of the Kremlin. It was a targeted assassination that left Moscow reeling, with the blast killing both Kirillov and his assistant, Ilya Polikarpov, who was also a high-ranking official within the same department. The bomb, ingeniously concealed in an electric scooter, detonated just outside an apartment building, causing immediate destruction. According to reports, the device was remotely detonated, which highlights the advanced technology and careful planning behind the operation. It was said to have the force of 300 grams of TNT, a significant blast capable of ensuring the deaths of the two men. Russian authorities quickly arrested Akhmad Kurbanov, a 29-year-old Uzbek national who was accused of planting the bomb. He is allegedly acting under the direction of Ukraine's Security Service, SBU. Preliminary reports claim that Kurbanov had been promised $100,000 and a relocation to the European Union in exchange for carrying out the operation, suggesting a highly organized international effort aimed at targeting a key figure in Russia's military leadership. The attack has shaken the Russian capital, a city largely insulated from the physical effects of the ongoing war with Ukraine. Moscow, traditionally seen as a fortress of Russian power, now faces the reality that no one is beyond reach, not even its top military leaders. Shortly after the explosion, an anonymous source within the SBU took responsibility for the attack. They described Kirillov as a legitimate target due to his alleged involvement in deploying chemical weapons against Ukrainian forces, something that Kyiv and many of its allies have accused Russia of using in the conflict. Although the Ukrainian government has not officially commented on the incident, the strike represents a significant escalation in their strategy. This bold move by Ukrainian forces signals a break from conventional tactics and hints at a new phase in the war. Targeting a high-ranking official like Kirillov, deeply within Russian territory, is a clear psychological blow to the Kremlin. It reflects Ukraine's growing resolve to strike at the heart of Russia's military apparatus, challenging the Kremlin's sense of invulnerability. Furthermore, it underscores Ukraine's willingness to expand the scope of the war, operating far beyond its borders to achieve strategic objectives that aim to destabilize Russia's command structure. This is no longer a conflict solely fought on Ukrainian soil. Ukraine has demonstrated its ability to strike deep within Russian territory. The assassination of General Kirillov occurred against the backdrop of an ongoing, deeply entrenched conflict between Russia and Ukraine, one that stretches back to 2014. The annexation of Crimea by Russia marked the beginning of this long and brutal conflict, followed by years of diplomatic tensions, covert operations, and intermittent clashes. However, the war truly escalated in February 2022 when Russia launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine. This marked the start of a new chapter in the war, one characterized by intense fighting, widespread destruction, and immense loss of life on both sides. Internationally, the conflict has polarized the world. Western countries, led by the United States, have thrown their support behind Ukraine, providing extensive military aid, economic sanctions against Russia, and diplomatic support. In contrast, Russia has tried to justify its actions with a narrative built around historical claims, security concerns, and accusations of NATO's encroachment. The war has seen the use of increasingly sophisticated weaponry, including drone strikes, cyber attacks, and, allegedly, chemical weapons, making the conflict even more complex and dangerous. Amidst this chaos, figures like Kirillov have played pivotal roles. As head of Russia's nuclear, biological, and chemical protection troops, Kirillov was in charge of managing operations designed to protect and enhance Russia's military capabilities in environments involving hazardous materials. His work was also heavily involved in countering perceived threats to Russia's security and furthering Moscow's strategic interests. Kirillov was deeply entrenched in the military's most sensitive and controversial operations, especially those involving chemical and biological defense. Lieutenant General Igor Kirillov, 54 at the time of his death, had served as the chief of Russia's troops of radiological, chemical, and biological defense since April 2017. This elite unit is specialized in operating in environments contaminated by radioactive, chemical, or biological agents. Kirillov's role was critical, not just to Russia's military operations, but also in shaping its broader strategy regarding unconventional warfare and defense. He was a decorated officer, a married father of 2 sons, and dedicated his career to ensuring that Russia's forces were prepared for the dangers of chemical, biological, and radiological threats. Kirillov's position made him a key figure in several highly controversial operations, particularly in Ukraine. Under his leadership, Russia's military allegedly deployed chemical weapons, including banned riot control agents and toxic substances like chloropicrin, against Ukrainian forces. These actions drew sharp condemnation from the international community, leading to sanctions from the United Kingdom and Canada. The United Nations and the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, OPCW, condemned the use of such substances, which are prohibited under international law. Moscow, however, denied these allegations, labeling them as Western propaganda designed to undermine Russia's military actions. In addition to his role in chemical warfare, Kirillov was also involved in promoting the widely disputed claims about US-backed biological labs in Ukraine. He accused the United States and Ukraine of conducting research on biological weapons aimed at Russia, a narrative that was adopted by Russian state media and officials. Despite a lack of credible evidence, these claims became a cornerstone of Russia's justification for its actions in Ukraine. Kirillov's assistant, Ilya Polikarpov, who was also killed in the bombing, was similarly involved in Russia's military operations related to chemical, biological, and radiological defense. Polikarpov worked closely with Kirillov and was considered a key member of the team responsible for overseeing these sensitive areas. The loss of both men is a significant blow to Russia's military command, particularly in an area that is central to the country's defense strategy. The assassination of General Kirillov is not an isolated event, but rather part of a troubling pattern of targeted killings aimed at Russian military and political leaders. Just days before Kirillov's death, Russian weapons expert Mikhail Shatsky was shot near his home in Moscow, in what was reportedly another operation connected to Ukraine's military intelligence. Additionally, high-ranking Russian officials such as naval officer Valery Trankovsky and prison chief Sergei Yevzhukov were killed in separate car bombings in Russian-occupied Ukraine. These killings suggest an emerging strategy by Ukrainian operatives to destabilize Russia's military leadership by carrying out precision strikes on key figures. Since the start of the full-scale invasion in 2022, Russian officials have increasingly become targets for such operations. While the Kremlin has accused Ukraine of orchestrating these assassinations, Ukrainian operatives have proven their ability to carry out complex and high-profile killings with remarkable efficiency. This trend marks a departure from conventional military strategies and showcases a new, unconventional approach to warfare that is designed to undermine Russian morale and disrupt the command structure from within. These targeted assassinations also reveal vulnerabilities within Russia's own security apparatus. The ability of Ukrainian operatives or their allies to carry out strikes within Moscow and other high-security areas points to a growing challenge for the Kremlin. These incidents are not only damaging to Russia's morale, but also force the country to divert valuable resources to address internal security threats, further complicating their military efforts. The assassination of General Kirillov has sparked strong reactions both within Russia and internationally. UK Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer's spokesperson commented, "We are not going to mourn the death of an individual who was involved in an illegal invasion and who imposed suffering on the Ukrainian people." Dmitry Medvedev, the deputy head of Russia's Security Council, condemned the attack, calling it an attempt by Ukraine to distract from its own military challenges. Medvedev vowed that Ukraine's senior military political leadership will face inevitable retribution. Russia's foreign ministry also condemned the assassination, accusing the West of tacitly endorsing Kyiv's actions by failing to condemn the killing. They framed it as part of a larger spiral of approval for Kyiv's war crimes. The United States, while denying any involvement in the attack, condemned Kirillov's actions. A State Department spokesperson remarked, "He was a general involved in numerous atrocities, including the use of chemical weapons against the Ukrainian military." Kirillov's death adds to a growing list of Russian generals who have been killed during the course of the war. By December 2024, Ukrainian sources claim that 18 Russian generals and 1 admiral have been killed since the war began in February 2022. Russian sources, while acknowledging fewer deaths, have confirmed that these losses are unprecedented. The deaths of such senior military figures have had significant repercussions on Russia's command structure. Russian generals have been forced to take a more active role on the front lines, leading to a greater risk of targeting by Ukrainian forces. These deaths also highlight critical vulnerabilities in Russia's communications and intelligence operations, which Ukraine has effectively exploited with the help of Western intelligence. The assassination of General Igor Kirillov is a bold and provocative act within the broader context of the Russia-Ukraine war. It demonstrates Ukraine's operational capability and determination to strike deep within Russian territory, undermining Moscow's sense of security and targeting a key figure involved in controversial military operations. This attack represents a psychological blow to the Kremlin, showing that even its top officials are vulnerable. However, the attack also signifies a dangerous escalation in the conflict. The possibility of severe retaliatory actions by Russia is high, which could lead to further instability and bloodshed. Ukraine's growing ability to strike deep within Russian borders underscores the lengths both sides are willing to go in their pursuit of victory. While this attack has disrupted Russia's command structure and delivered a blow to its morale, it also signals a dangerous escalation. The path ahead is fraught with uncertainty, and each side will continue to raise the stakes as they fight for control, knowing that each strike could lead to even greater costs in terms of both military and civilian lives. The assassination is not just a military operation. It is a symbol of the conflict's shifting nature and the high-risk strategies both sides are willing to employ as they navigate the complexities of modern warfare.